if you can hear my voice, you can type a one in the chat box. Thanks very much, Mr. Thaddeus and Abdi. I think we can just get started right now. This was our app from yesterday. Let me first remove this one here to create some space. Yeah, thanks very much if you can hear my voice. Thanks for the acknowledgement. And you can also see my AVD, right? I'll go ahead to open our files for the project for today's task, which was yesterday's task though. Challenge 3. So this is my folder on my desktop. You can see this folder, right? Can you see this folder of challenge 3? I want to be sure. All right. Now, inside this folder here, we have this content here. I'm not gonna show you the video. I hope you already seen the video, but we changed a little in the list of workshop attendance. This time around, we included the registration number and the student number apart from the name, and also we have an invitation message over here. Its subject and its body. So what you're going to be doing today, today we're not going to view that video so that we can save time. So we shall use the picture instead to see what we need to do. I'll bring that picture in here to use it as a reference. Let me first close this one. Maybe as a simple review of what we did yesterday. This was our app from yesterday's task. That was task 2. When you click join workshop, it brings this layout here. We have these strings hard coded in, and when you click join, go to this list over here. What we want to do today is to allow the user to type their name here and their student number, and now when they click join, we want to add their names and whatever they type as their student number to this list over here. That's what we want to do this side of the join. And then in the invite, we also want to remove these strings which are hard coded, and we allow the user to type in their own input, and then we use that input in the back end to compose an email, an SMS, or send a contact to use to make a call to invite a friend to join the workshop. That's what we're going to be doing today, and can be seen very well in this picture over here. When you look at this picture here, when you click join, you shall go to this layout here. Today we are going to be developing this layout. Yesterday you learned about radio buttons and checkboxes, as well as the edit text. You already learned about this information. So when you enter this content here, you realize that whatever is here, I don't know whether you view this picture when you're doing this task. A number of students have already submitted this solution, their solution to this task, but I realized I think they still have that information hard coded in. They are not getting the information that's typed in here to be populated into the workshop attendance list. That's what this task is about. We shall be going over that. This is a list view, as you can see here. And now when you click this side of the invite friend, this is how it looks. And now we've added in some spice. When you click invite email today, unlike yesterday, we have the email ready, we have the sender ready. We get the sender from here and put it into the intent, such that everything is already available in the email. You only have to click send and the email will be sent, even the message itself. The same applies to the SMS. We already have the contact as the users type it here. We even have the message SMS already crafted. You only have to click send for it to be sent. The same applies to the contact. We have the contact here as inputted. You only have to press the call button and everything will be done. As usual, I'll begin by splitting my screen so that I can have this one side by side vertically, and I use this side for coding. Now, to begin with, when you look at that AVD over here, yesterday we began from the left side, the side of join workshop. We shall do the same even today. We are going to first finish. We are going to begin with this layout so that we make it. Let me not use that one. Let me just use this picture here. Let us first come up with this layout. Now this time around, when the user clicks the join button, we want to have this kind of layout. This is yesterday's project. As the solution is uploaded to our GitHub, so we are going to just be developing on top of it. So I'll go ahead to open this layout, which is join workshop. So this is how the layout looks currently. It has these two linear layouts and then a button. We are going to go ahead to remove this hard-coded text and instead put an edit text view, and also down here we put radio buttons plus a checkbox. Let us do that right away. So we don't need this text view anymore. That's why we are removing it. I want to replace it with an edit text, and you want it to have a width of what? Now, when you look at this one, you realize that the edit text has occupied much of the space, and now this label here is occupying very little space. What I did with this layout, I divided it into 3 parts, and I made the edit text view to occupy 2 of the parts, and this other label to occupy 1 of the parts. So how do we achieve that? We already have this layout weight in place here. So what we are going to do, we are going to do the same here. We are going to give it a width of 0 dps, and what we shall do, then specify the weight. We shall then specify the weight of 2. Now, what will that mean is this layout here, which is linear, is divided into 3 parts, and the edit text is occupying 2 parts, and the text view is occupying 1 part. Its height, we want it to wrap content. Now, in order to be able to access, we can also give the user a hint so that he knows what they want to type in. We shall give him a hint of enter name. And since we are going to be requiring to know what the user has typed into this view from our code, we shall give this one an ID such that we can be able to access it from our code dynamically. And I'm going to name this one join. I'm going to name it edit ID edit name join. ID name join. ID name join. So I'm going to copy this because it's not different from what we want to do with the student number. I'll copy and paste it down here and say now enter student number, and change this ID to ID student number join. Now this is well, we have no problem with that. Now down here we have these buttons here, the radio buttons, and also this text. Let us begin with that text, which is programming experience as a title. Text view width, you can match parent and height wrap content, and then give you text of programming experience. And programming experience. I'm not. Okay, so I haven't been seeing that one. I thought there was a message. Now, down here we have in this programming, the title programming experience. Let's give it some little padding such that does not lean on the wall so much. a padding of about 4 dps is enough. Now down here, I want to create these radio buttons. To create radio buttons, if in order to create these radio buttons, we are gonna first create a radio group and make its width match parent and height wrap content, and also you can close this one. Now inside the radio group, we can go ahead to create the radio button. I want to give it a width of wrap content, height wrap content, and also give it a text. The first one is beginner. We have a category of beginner. Let me close this one. I'll copy this one and I create the other two of them. This one is intermediate. Intermediate. And then the last one is professional. Okay, so now this one is also done. Now on top of that, we have below that we have another item here, which is a checkbox. Just click that checkbox and give it a with wrap content, height. Give it a text of I agree to the terms and conditions. Agree to the terms and conditions. Close this one. So this layout seems almost done, but let us not. Okay. What we're gonna do is we shall go ahead to develop the layout the other side as well, and then we shall run to see what we need to iron out. Let us first go ahead to develop this one as well. Now this one is the layout for the invite friend. The invite friend has also something very similar to what we've just done. It has, let me first close this one. I go back to this one as well. This one. During workshop here, we can copy this edit text and we shall bring it here, down here. When a person is being invited, we shall first of all need their name. So here we shall say enter name, and then ID student, ID name join. Now another problem is now these IDs, they look very similar. So in order to be able to differentiate them, we shall now change this one to invite instead of join, because now we're inviting, right? And then we can come down here where we're requesting them for a contact and paste here. This is invite, so that we can separate the IDs properly. This one is contact. Contacts. Name this one to enter contact, and we shall go ahead to also remove this one here, the hard coded in email, and change it to enter email hint, and then ID email, invite. This one also looks done, so we can run this one real quick to see how these results look, and if they look as we expected them to look, then we shall go ahead to dive into our Java code. Now as that one is building, I'll look at this picture. Okay, as that one is building, I want to tell you something. Yesterday, when you were creating this list view, the one you saw which displays the attendance here, we had all these ones coded inside here. But now that one will work, but only for data which is static. For today's content, the data is not static because, as you can see from this picture here, when you enter in new data here, you want to be able to say that whatever data you've entered here, you want to populate it down here. Now this data is dynamic, so we cannot use this method we used from yesterday anymore. Actually, I would advise you that if you still have these strings inside here, delete them. You're not gonna use them today in this project. When you delete them, to ensure that everything is not broken, you can come to the attendance activity over here, where we're having this one, getting this array of attendance, and now remove this one. We're not going to be giving to it the data statically anymore, but we're going to be giving it the data dynamically. So what we shall do is to create an ID of ID list view attendance, such that we can be able to assign to it the data dynamically. Let's first open this one and we see how it looks like. Click this side. So you have this one looking very nice, not so nice. Okay, that one had frozen. Can you see my AVD right now? Can you? You can, right? Hey guys, can you? All right. Now we have this one similar to this, but not so similar though, because when you look at this one, you realize that these ones are vertically, right? These ones have an orientation of vertical, but we want these ones to be horizontal. What we can do is to come back here to our join workshop. Join workshop, where do we have these ones, the radio buttons, and let me see. Can we specify the orientation? Now the orientation is vertical, but we want them to be horizontal. So by that, they will be oriented horizontally, and I think that won't be too bad. Let us first go the other side. Okay, let's first go back the other side and see how about the invite. This one has no problem. I think it just looks right and fine, right? It just looks fine. Has no problem at all. So let us begin with this side here. We want to be able to get the data the user has typed in here. But now, as I've told you, that since you are going to be doing things dynamically today, you may ask yourself that where are you going to get the list of attendance from? What we shall do is to come here and create a class to help us to manage the object of an attendant. Now, this is a solution to yesterday's task, which wasn't live coded, and I think it was poorly named. All of these ones here are activities, but they don't have the name, the word activity after their name. So it's very hard to know whether it's a Java class, a plain Java class, or an Android Java class. But no problem with that. The good thing, you know what you are doing. I think it won't cause any confusion. So what I'm going to do is to create an attendant, and I'm going to name it attendant helper. This attendant helper will have okay. I'm going to name it an attendant helper. This attendant helper will help us to create an object of an attendant. It will help us to create an object of an attendant. Now, when you look at that data over there, let me first open that one real quick. The workshop attendance data. Why don't I just open it inside Android Studio as well? When you look at this data of the Chinese has been edited out. When you look at this data of the attendance, it has reg number, name, and student number. So what we shall do here, we shall come right inside here and say that let me first remove this, so that our attendant has an integer, and that integer is none other than student number. No, reg number has an integer which is a reg number, and then we shall say that let his student number be a string, and also we have another string which is his name. of naming variables in Java, better to start with small letter. Now I want to make these ones private such that you cannot access them from outside the class. Private. Um Now after that, we shall go ahead to create a constructor here, which is tenants helper. Tenants helper, and we shall make it public. By default, it's public, but I always like to write that one in. Now, it's a method. It's a constructor, so it's a method. So what we shall do in this constructor here, when you're initiating a new tenant, you have to pass in the following data. So you begin with the integer reg number. I'll make these ones all of them small later, and also you pass in a string which is student number, and also you pass in another string. So you pass in another string which is name. Now what we shall do after when you are instantiating, when you're creating an instance of this object, of this class, we shall get this data which is passed to the constructor and assign it to our class variables. Say this dot reg number equals to reg no, and then this dot student number equals to the number which is passed in, and also this dot name equals to the name that's passed in. This one's well and good. Now I want to do another thing. We want to be able to turn this object into a string. So we're going to create here another method, and we are going to name it to string. It returns the string. Yes. Returns the string. And actually this is very bad. I don't want it to be like this. Let me write it the way I want it to be. This one will give me a lot of content. What I want is this. In order to return, I'm overriding the method. I'm overriding the method that turns the object into a string, and this is what I want to turn into a string. I want it to output, first of all, this. I want to say I want it to output the reg number, because when you look at down here, we begin by the registration number, the name, and then the what, and then the student number. So what we shall do is to first of all call this one integer to string dot to string, and then pass in the reg number because an integer, and then after that we shall add it onto. Okay, let's begin by, we shall add that onto, we shall create a dot over there and then a space as viewed from here, as viewed from down here. And then after that we shall add on this dot name, After that there is a comma there, so we shall add a comma and a space. No need for space, so you can put it there. And then after that we shall add this dot, the student number, and then close that. So when you have an object, we have an object of this class, and then we call the string, it will return all this information. Now we shall go ahead to create our attendance here. We shall go ahead to create some attendance here. We shall say final. We're gonna get those hard-coded in attendance and put them inside here. We shall make this one static so that we can access the attendance array from outside the class without having to instantiate the object first. And then we are gonna name this one. First of all, it is an attendant helper. It will be an attendant helper what? List. Should I make it a list? Okay, I think okay. Let me make it a list, an attendant helper list, array rather, not a list. And then I say attendants, tenants, tenants. Then say that equals to. If you have any question about what I'm doing, you can easily ask me, and explain that one. Now, this one is here for us so that we can input in that data, the data which is inside here. This one doesn't look very nice. I'll use the data from my link. Try to copy this one and let's see if it looks. Create enough space over here. From here at the top. Yeah, this one looks nice. The space is too much. Now this is not yet done. You don't need this one at the top. You are creating you are going to be creating objects for the attendant helper for all of these ones. How we're going to do that? We shall begin by clicking this left side. We are creating an object of attendant helper. So we begin by attendant helper. We are calling the constructor for the attendant helper, and then passing in the first item, which is the reg number. As you can see from the constructor down here, we first pass in the reg number, which we are passing already there, and then we are following that with what? With the student number. Okay, we wouldn't like to follow it with the student number because the order of this one is name. So we shall go ahead to change the constructor later there, but let us first put inside here this. We shall say that now this is the names of the participants, and then close this one, put a comma, and then go ahead to this other side later there, and also create another this, and then come to the end, this side. Okay, that one didn't work well. What I can do instead to come here, create some space, and then select all of this at the edges until the top here, and then I'll create that closing add there, and then follow it with a comma, and then come down here, and is this error? That call expected. Okay, and then let me first put no comma here necessary. Let's remove this excess space over here, and then we are supposed to put here a new keyword because we're instantiating new objects, that we can remove that red line. I think that's the reason why it's there. Highlight all of this and say new. Beautiful. So we can use the in-built-in code formatter here so that this one looks far better. Also, we haven't code. I think it looks far better than before. These spaces, we shall leave them here. First, ignore them for now, apart from this one here. Let's remove this one. So we have this content here. Now, after having in this content over here, what we want to do next? What we want to do next is be able to get what the user has typed in. When you look at this video over here, when the user let me first run that one once more. When the user inputs in this content here, we want to be able to get it inside the Java code. Now we shall open our Java for the join workshop. Now inside here, when you click join workshop, we want to first check, have you inputted the name, or have you inputted your name, have you inputted your student number, and have you selected the programming experience? If all those ones are okay, then we shall go ahead to fire this intent. You use final just for can you tell us about the final static part? Okay, I don't see. Yeah, I think Tajus has answered that one very well. And now to add something a little more, the reason why I'm using static here is because if I don't use the static keyword here, what will happen is before I access this array I've created here, I will have to first instantiate this object here. I don't want that to happen. I want to have the power to be able to access this array here without having to first instantiate the object. That's why I'm adding this. That's why I'm adding the static keyword over here. So we shall join workshop. Okay, now these ones have been put in right order. For the spacing, if we have time at the end, we shall go ahead to iron out this one. We shall go ahead to iron out this one, and for the invite, this one's fine. If we have time at the end, we shall go ahead to iron out this one. But right now, let us first concentrate on the functionality. As I've just said that in the join workshop over here, we want to do one of the things we want to do is to get inputted name, and also want to also get student number, and also check if radio button, check if one of the radios is selected, and also go ahead check if the checkbox is checked. Now if all of this one applies, then we shall happily open this intent. Now to begin with, let us first get the inputted name. That one comes from the edit text. I'll say name equals to, I'll cast this one to the edit text, and I say find U-BYTE resources.id dot I have id join name. You can close this one for a while. Then you have that one. Now after getting that, it doesn't end there. I want to be able to get the string from it, so I'll say, I can say this one ed to say that it is maybe ed text. So I'll say string name equals to name et dot get what, get text. However, some of the users may accidentally type in an empty string. We don't want that to happen. First of all, after getting the text and turning it to a string, we want to trim it so that we can remove any trailing spaces. After trimming it, we shall check if its length is 0, and if it's 0, we shall know that it is an empty string. We shall know that this is an empty. It's an empty string, and in case it's empty, we want to send him this bad message. Okay, it's not a bad message, a prompt message. And after sending him a prompt message, we shall return. What message is that? Yesterday you learned about toasts, and today in this project you're going to be making use of them. We shall create a toast. When you're creating toast.make, what's that method for making a toast? I think it's toast.make, right? Toast.make text, and then pass in the context. We can use this or get application context, which I usually love. And then here we are going to tell him that please enter name. After telling him that we want to display this one for a very short time, so we shall say toast.length short. And then after that, don't forget to call the dot show, so that we can show this toast. This one is exceeding that line. We can do this one like this, so it looks better. Now, we can first test that one real quick. This one is the same that's going to apply down here. When you are getting the student number, we shall say student number haven't launched. Now when you click join and try to read this, you get that beautiful toast over there telling you to enter the name. So now we are gonna do the same for the student number. So we're gonna name this student number, and then student number, the length is equal to 0. Please enter student. And then after that, now for the checkbox, it's quite different. Check if the radios are selected. We shall say we are getting a radio group, but I think we didn't give that radio group an ID. So let us first do that one real quick. Let us first give it an ID so that we can be able to access it from our code. So I'll give it an ID of radio group experience. So we shall go right back in the workshop and say radio group experience radio group equal to, cast this one to a radio group, and then say find view by ID resources dot ID dot where's that one? ID, how did I name it? ID radio group. ID radio group experience over here. Now, when no one of the radio groups have been selected, we can know that by saying we can create an integer here, or maybe we can say exp dot we can say if integer, let us create an integer here, check ID, and select checked ID equal to exp dot get check radio button ID. And now if you check this, if this ID is equal to -1, it means that no radio button has been checked, and then we shall give our user a beautiful message that please select the programming experience, otherwise you cannot continue. Please select programming. Select programming. Get radio button ID. You didn't give the radio buttons IDs, right? Will this method work really? You can use another one. Get ID. I think get ID is better because it assigns the IDs automatically. And then we check. No, get ID won't work. Let me check here if we have a better one to use. Set ID. Check. Okay, I think we'll go back to this one a little quick. I'll go back to this one in a while. Let me first comment out this. Let us first go to the other one, the checkbox. Let us also first assign it an ID. The checkbox, we can first assign it an ID of ID, and say ID terms conditions cons ID conditions. Now come back to the join workshop and say checkbox equals to checkbox find view by ID resources dot ID dot checkbox ID conditions. This one is very good. It's very easy to check. So we shall simply say if checkbox dot is checked, if it's not checked, this one will return false. Now if it is not checked, we want to check if it's not checked, right? If it's not checked, we shall put that we shall negate this condition. If it's checked, this one returns true. If it's not checked, returns false. So we shall do this one to check if it is not checked. If not checked, we shall say, please, no, you should agree. You should agree to terms and conditions. Agree to our terms and conditions. So let us run this one and see if these ones work properly. Let's run this one real quick and see how that one comes out. Not starting. Okay, I think that's finished to build during workshop. When you click this one, enter name, you try to enter some name over here, click again. You should agree to the terms and conditions. It's not even checking if the student number is available. Okay, because we are using the same ID over here, right? This one should be a different ID. ID, name, student number, join. So that you can check that one as well. And then you can go ahead to check that one. I think we can use here now for this check button here. Let us first maintain check dot check get check radio button ID. And if the ID is -1, I'm sure it will mean that please select programming experience. It will mean that the no ID is selected. This one's available in the documentation, but for us to save time, I wouldn't like to go back. Wouldn't need to go back to that. Now, if this one is all fine, we want to open this intent. However, unlike other times, today we want to pass this data that the user selected on to. We would like to pass the data that the user has passed in. We are going to ignore all this other data by the name and student number. We want to pass it onto the activity that displays the attendance. How are we going to do that? What we shall do is to first of all come to that activity that displays the attendance and create two static variables here, which are final, static, and there will be strings. I'll name this one join name, the name the person is using to join. Actually, I'm gonna make them caps because they are constant. Join name, and I'll say join name, simply that. The reason why I'm creating these ones, I want to be able to use them when I'm passing data between the intents. Static string join student num, and then I'll say join student num, join student num. Now, how these ones are going to help me, I'll just come back to the join workshop over down here. If I start this intent, now if all this one has gone well, it means that the user has done all what we require them to do on this page. And if that is the case, let us first run that one real quick and see what happens. First open this and I say join workshop. Please enter name. Try with the fake name. Try again, enter student number. Try with student number. And also select programming experience. You should agree to the terms and conditions. Now, if all that one is filled in, it can open the other intent. Another thing, are you programming together, please? First, digest that one. And if you have a question, you can ask me. I'll give you 2 minutes to digest that one. uh okay, so now if this one is fine because I've gotten no question, we shall continue. Now yesterday you learned from Tadio's session that we can limit what the user inputs in. Now here you've seen that when we click to enter the student number, it comes as a keyboard for entering text, right? We can limit that one by going ahead to come here where we are entering the student number and say input type. Let the input type be a number. Input type be a number. So when we run that one next time, when we check that one, it will open a number keyboard instead of an alphanumeric keyboard. So if that one is well and good, let us go back here to where we are creating this intent and say after we have checked all this, the user has inputted all this data. Let's check this one real quick. Doing workshop. This time around, when you click the number, it opens a numeric keyboard because we have specified the input type. Now, after we've checked all this, the user has inputted their name and their student number. We want to be able to add it to the intent such that we can be able to access it from our other attendance activity and be able to add it onto the list view. Right now, the list view is displaying nothing at all, but we are going to be putting that one right in a very short time. So what we shall do here, we shall say intent dot put extra. You learned this one already. What are we going to put inside there? We are putting an extra, right? And that extra will have a name of the name. We shall get the name of that extra from inside here. We shall say attendance dot join name, and then pass in the name, pass in the name which you have gotten from up here. This is the name we are passing in, and on top of that we shall add another item which is attendance dot these string constants are the constants we just created up here, so that we have a similar string, because we are going to be able to access the intent from this side. So I wanted us to have a common string to avoid the bugs that could in the intent. You have any question? What does put extra do in the intent? Now, if you want to pass data between intents, if you want to pass data between activities, there are a number of ways to pass the data between the activities. One of that is to use the put extra of the intent to pass the data between the activities. Another one is the use of bundles. I think Thaddeus is not going to cover that one, but if we cover that one as well, that will also be very nice. Though it is, I think, it's a little bit intermediate. But this is also a very simple way of passing data which has been given to you in one activity and you want to use that data in the other activity. Yes, Thaddeus has answered that one very well. So now I'll go ahead to say now student number. I'll also pass the student number here. Okay, so now after passing in this data here, we don't want that to end there. We shall come here and say get we shall create here another string. We shall create a string here. If the data has been passed really well, we shall create a string here and give it a name of name. Now we want to retrieve the name as passed by the user. Name equals to get intent dot get intent dot what is it dot get intent dot get data. Let me see. Get data dot no intent dot get data and what? I think it's get extras, right? Because we have put extras. Get extras, yes. Get extras dot and then we also follow that with the get the name of the extra we want to get. So the name of the extra we want to get is the one for the name. It is just right here. So we pass the join name and we shall copy this. Okay. What's the problem with this? We have to cast it to a string. Copy this and go on to the next line and say student number equals to this one, student number. Now, to ensure that this one is working very fine, before you go ahead to add this data to the list view, to ensure that this one is working very fine, we can make use of the log. We can make use of the log to log some information and say on create, you want to log which information. Let us first log the name and some space. Let's say user data name, add some space and also space comma actually, and also add the student number. To ensure that one works very fine, we shall log that one and give it a tag of input. So we can run that one to test if it is working properly. If it's working properly, then we shall go ahead to quickly install the list view. So when you open this one, you can open the log here, and we are interested in the emulator, and we are interested in the information. So when you click join here and pass in some data here, and also the student number here, and select intermediate and do that one, click join. We come and search for input. Okay, yeah. So when you look down here, realize that we are getting our input over here. So this one is working very fine. The data we are inputting from the other activity, we are able to retrieve it from inside here. This one has done its job. We can comment it out now. We don't need it anymore. All right. So now what we shall do is we shall come down here and we want to add this data to the list view. We already understand that we have one of the list views over here. It is already intact. Now, to make it be able to display on this page here, what we shall do, we shall come over here and first of all get the ID, get that list view where I want to display the data in. For dynamic data, we use adapters. For static data, we can use the entries in the XML. However, for dynamic data, we prefer using adapters. Again, I think Ted just explained that one. I think I'm forgetting. However, it's not difficult. Even if you didn't, you can always refer to a documentation. Or what you will see here, what I'll be doing, we understand that it's not actually very difficult to use the adapters. Now find view by ID, resources.id dot what? What name did I give to that list view? Okay, let me check that one again. Attendance. Okay, you gave it, I named it this way. Copy this one and bring it here. Close this one. So what we want to do after getting the list view, we are going to create, because now this data is in an array, right? This data here is in an array. So we shall use an adapter called the array adapter. So we shall say array adapter goes to new array adapter, and then the array adapter is supposed to, you are supposed to tell it which kind of data does it expect. It expects data of an attendant, right? Attendant helper. And then array adapter equals to new adapter, and then we can leave this one like this, and then inside this bracket we pass the context this, and then we can use a layout which is Android. Which layout can we use? I think we can use the simple layout. Android resources with layout, and this simple, yeah. and then also go ahead to, now we have to pass it, we have to pass to it an array. We don't have that array yet. You can, the array we want to pass to it is the array which has our data from this helper here. This is the array. And now you're asking about the use of the static keyword. We are going to be able to access this array here without having to instantiate this object. So how to get that array? You simply come here and say it's an array of attendance helper array. Say our attendance equals to attendant helper dot attendance. So we have that one over there, and we can pass this one directly to down here. However, in order to be able to add the data that has been passed to us here, what we shall do is to instead create an array list, because for it is very easy to add data to it. What we shall do is to say array list. Let us first create an array list over here real quick, and it's gonna be an array list of attendant helper, and give it a name of, another name of workshop joined attendance, new attendance, and we shall say that this one is equal to arrays dot as list. And then if it is as list, we can pass this one, which is an array, and we want to treat it as a list. So after that, we can close this. It's having an error. Okay, you didn't create new array list. New array list. So that is fine there. We can name this one all the tenants, and then this one new attendance. So we pass this one all the attendance to this one here. Great. So I have this one in place as well. So what we shall simply do, we shall now to come to new attendance and say dot add. We are going to add an attendant helper, which is the attendant helper. How do you add the new attendant? We shall say the name the user has passed. I think we forgot something in the constructor here. Remember I said that the first one is the reg number, and then the name, not the student number. So we can change the order of these ones by deleting this and putting this one here. Delete this and put this one over here, and such that this one changes to name, and then the last one is the student number. So we can come back here and pass the name, and also we have to pass the student, or we begin by the registration number. How shall we get the registration number? We shall get the current size of this one, the size, and add one. Shall add one to it, and then because it's a new person, right? Registration number, and then pass the name, and also now the student number, the what? The last one, the student number, is one which has been passed to us inside here. What's that error? Okay, we haven't specified where. Let us specify the index as well. New. Okay, right. That one works fine. So what we shall do, we shall simply pass this new attendance to this array adapter over here and close this. And after creating this adapter, we shall simply say list view dot set adapter and pass in this adapter over here, the one we've just created. Now when we run this one, we shall be able to display the data here. Sorry, someone saying something? Now when you click this one and say join workshop, put the name, the number, agree, join workshop. So you have this one coming up over here. Beautiful. And when you try to change the name, let us try to add the use of a different name. Let's say this user is called it's called who? It's called Roger. And then when you click join, you have Roger over here. This is what we wanted to have. A number of people did this question, but I don't know whether you implemented it this way because I only sent a video whereby you are inputting the name once. So this is what we wanted to have. Okay, now when this one is done, so this side is done. Please first adjust that one for 2 minutes before you continue. Do you have a question? Now, at this moment, we have finished this side of join workshop and all that. We are only left with the side of we are left with this other side of getting this data and then throwing this intent. However, because of time, I think I can end here and I will finish because now for today's task, which is about menus, as we're gonna complete menus today, it is really short. So I'll combine the remaining part for finishing this side with the menus when I'm explaining the fourth task tomorrow. So I would like to end here and call on Thaddeus to continue with today's content. If you have a question, you can ask us in the group or in the chat box. Thanks very much.